Okay, the recording has started. Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Charles de Vermoen, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Linksenior. This is our sixth and last session about for the Activity Strong Virtual Summit. And I actually want to take the time again, but I do want to take the time because it's important to really thank you all for what you do today, and that includes Amanda, because I believe that anyone that works in this field, especially if we are engaging the older adult every day, is really providing essential work. And it is essential because it does provide, like Anne and Katie mentioned in the previous session, this sense of meaning and purpose, right? And why would we protect something when we have this pandemic if there is no purpose in the life that we're protecting, right? So bringing that helps us infuse life and humanity in the life of the older adult in our industry. So with that, I wanted to introduce you to our last speaker, Amanda Bulgarelli. She's the lead mentor and trainer and speaker for the Positive Approach to Care. Just have a couple announcements, housekeeping details I want to share with you. And that is that we can earn up to 6 NAB, NCAP, and/or NCCDP CEUs today. To earn the credits, you need to attend the full session, so as few as 1 or as many as 6 sessions. And you'll need to fill out the required post-summit CEU survey, which will be emailed out to all attendees on June 23rd, and we will also share it in the chat box of Zoom at the end of this session. You need to fill out this survey before midnight on Friday, June 26th, and the CEU certificate will be emailed by the end of the day on Wednesday, July 1st. The second item I want to share with you is that this session is being recorded, so you'll be able to access it for free on our website to go back to some of the key items you learned or refresh your memory. But you can also, if you want, share that with your team members and your friend. The third item I want to share is that today we're using 2 platforms. We're using Zoom and Facebook Live. You're more than welcome to use both. But the one thing that's important is that to get CEU credits, you need to be on the Zoom, as the Zoom platform is the tool we're using to track attendance. About Zoom, and Amanda, let me know if you have any questions about this, there are 2 features to engage with us. There is a chat feature, and as speaker or panelists, we do our best, but it is extremely active, which is great. But if we have questions directed especially to the speakers or the panelists that we want answered, the best place to put it, to type it, is the Q&A feature. So we will be monitoring that, and Amanda, anything technical or about CEUs, we will try to filter so that anything related to your presentation surfaces up. The last the last announcement is the bingo word for this session, and that word is the word cool. So if you have any questions about that, this is a bingo game that we've been running for a few weeks that ends tonight. The details can be found on our Facebook page, the Activity Strong Facebook page, or the website activitieswith2sstrong.com. With that, Amanda, I want to thank you again for being with us today. I'm going to stop my screen and give you access. If you just hold with me a second.
Perfect. I am going to go ahead and share.
Go
the
ahead.
word was cool, right?
Yes, like you.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We are going to wrap this thing up, hopefully, before your happy hour later, with a little bit more fun and engagement, which is what it's all about. So hopefully, you're here because you want to engage people, and that's sort of the purpose of what you do, especially people living with dementia. We at Positive Approach to Care, created by Teepa Snow, who's in the picture there, our mission, our goal is to make life better, make the word dementia have less stigma, and make a whole body engagement part of everybody's job, not just care partners, not just caregivers, and not just the people living with dementia, but everybody enriching and engaging throughout the day. So what we're going to talk about today is enhancing and enriching lives without more money or stuff. Because I'm sure many of you have engagement boxes sitting in a back closet somewhere because, well, that one piece went missing. That one little component doesn't work anymore, or it just didn't sit well with your residents. So we're going to explore something different today. So before we dig into how, we're going to talk a little bit about this thing that many of you hinted at before. One of the biggest requests that we get from staff is education. What is dementia? Why are they doing this? Why is this person acting this way? Why? And so what we provide is training along with a demonstration of skills. So today I'm going to start us with a little bit of education on what is this thing called dementia that we all want so desperately to help with. So what math sign do you think normally gets put in between these words? Dementia, blank, Alzheimer's, blank, memory problems. Many people out there, 90% actually, believe this, that these are all the same. Dementia equals Alzheimer's, which equals memory problems. And that's a very specific way of framing this thing called dementia. And so I'm gonna ask you the question, is this true? And let's talk a little bit about this slide. So what do you notice on this slide? Where did those words go? Dementia, Alzheimer's, and memory problems. So do this with your arms, because I'm sure many of you have been sitting for a very long time and listening and thinking, and your brain is very full, but what hasn't been very active today for many of you? The rest of this thing, your body. So we're going to get a little bit engaged today. So with your arms, what you just created is an umbrella. And dementia is an umbrella term. It encompasses lots of things. And what do you notice is one of those teardrops, one of those little raindrops underneath. Yeah, there's Alzheimer's way down there, one of those raindrops. And I know it's hard to see because it's very light, but you'll notice there's actually tons of little raindrops under this umbrella. And over here on the right, you can see lots of other options, other dimensions. So dementia is actually this umbrella term, and Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. And memory problems, well, it's not even on here. It's so small. It's such a small component, and yet it's what many of our memory care units are based on, that those three are equal. So one of our big goals is to get some more education, some more awareness, some more knowledge out there of what is this thing called dementia. Because we're all trying to help, but how do we get engaged if we don't even know what we're trying to help with? So what is dementia? Now we've got a quiz going, so you can kind of think through it. Is it problems with memory? Is it another word for Alzheimer's? Is it something all people get when they get older? Is it another word for a failing brain? Or, gosh, I don't know. Yeah, anybody who's thinking D, another word for a failing brain, you got it. D for dementia. It's not something that all older people get. And it's not just another word for Alzheimer's, and it's much more than problems with memory. There's a lot going on. My brain is dying. What about this one? How many types, forms, or causes of dementia are there? And this slide, a couple months old, it's actually already over 120. And we're finding new ones every day. And many of the dementias that we're finding are in younger and younger and younger, even children. So dementia is not one term, and it's not just anything. It's a bunch of different terms, and it's a bunch of different symptoms, and it's actually not a disease. It's a set of symptoms. It's a life condition. It's something we've got to learn to live better with. So how long is it that we're trying to live better? Not long, 1 to 3 years, B, about 3 to 5 years, anywhere from 6 months to 30 years, 10 to 15, or I don't know. If you're thinking Alzheimer's, yeah, you probably have heard D, around the 12-year mark is the average. Now, many people have symptoms 5 to 15 years before that. But actually, thanks to vascular dementia and things like mad cow disease, which are connected, anywhere from 6 months to 30 years after diagnosis. That's a very long time to live in a world of depression because dementia is the end. So, now, what's a stronger equation for those 3 words? Dementia is greater than Alzheimer's, which is greater than memory problems, because there's a lot more going on in the brain when any of these enter the picture. So now thinking about that, you've got some new knowledge, or maybe you knew that already. Who do you provide engagement for? Is it a variety of people, but only one person at a time? Is it a single person throughout a day? You're with them for longer periods of time, but it's just that one person. Is it a mixed, large group of personality traits who now can't touch each other and who you can't touch unless you're doing it very appropriately and changing gear in between and da, 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 da. Is it a small group of mixed people, or is it a small group of similar people? Or does it just really depend on the day and the situation? My guess is with this many people, we've got lots of options, and many of these answers are true for you on any given day. So how do we do this? Well, we at Positive Approach to Care talk about gems. What skills do people still have? And instead of seeing the loss in each person living with dementia, we try to see what can this person do in this moment, in this day, with this activity, with this process, with this time. What can someone do? And what do I want to support that person in still doing well? Because even though I might not be able to do all of the things I used to do, I can still find joy in things I can do if you support me and provide the right setting and care so that I can shine. And we believe that all people are unique. So even if you're caring for one person and that's it, boy, might you see a variety of gems throughout any given day, moment, or single second, because gems are not stagnant, they're states, and they're based on skills. So what is engagement? So I've been using the word engagement rather than activities, because activities are a part of engagement. I heard outings mentioned earlier still, and therapy sessions. What else is included in the term engagement? Often it's things that make the day more fun, things that make the day more lively. And we talk about it as addressing the gem, speaking to that person in that moment, making that gem shine. That's what's engaging. Unfortunately, what often happens is engagement is caring for that little gem in there, and this is a pearl, and that's the oyster shell that holds the pearl. And then we think about the end of dementia as this pearl is in there, but you only get them for little windows of time. I'm still in there, but it's short moments. And most of the time is spent caring for the shell of my body, the thing that I'm held in, but I'm still there. And the activities, the engagement, bring that pearl out. They help me shine. And yet, when we look at this funnel like this, and the person's here, and we're trying to care for the whole person, often activities get circled off in their own little quadrant, and then the body is being cared for by other staff. And then the skills that I still have myself, who's touching on those? Often could be therapy, could be someone else, but we really segregate, even within one person, the different components of my whole being. So what we at PAC try to do is combine these things so that we're all responsible for all three of these components any given day, any given time, and with any given person, any given gym. So for just a minute, we're going to pause, and I'm going to have you take a look at how you spend 24 hours. So either with your hands, or you can actually write it down, draw a blank circle, and think about it as a 24-hour window. And in that 24-hour window, we see 4 categories of time. There's productive time, there's work time that you spend doing. There's playful time. There should be some fun, something leisurely, something that you enjoy that just is for a good time. There's personal, you've got self-care, you take a shower, you maybe go eat. You might eat a salad instead of a big pasta dinner, but it's still self-care to eat. And then passive, there's that rest and restoration time. It might be sleeping, or it might be sitting on the couch by yourself reading a book, which kind of could be self-care a little bit. So these aren't hard lines between these 4 categories of time, but pretty much every day we see these 4 categories of time. So for yourself, just do a moment of thinking about what's your basic breakdown. Do you spend most of your time here in productive? Is there any playful time in your day? What about if you're a care partner when you get home and you're at work all day and then you get home and now is that work or is that something else? So where do you spend the bulk of your day? Which of these categories of time do you spend the most time in? So when I look at it for myself, I'm here, which is probably not the healthiest pattern, but this is where I spend most of my day, under half, but I do spend most of my day doing productive work time. And I have a little bit of playful time, usually right before breakfast and after dinner. Those are kind of my fun times where I get to hang out with my kids or do something else. Personal or self-care time, well, probably about this much time, but equal to that playtime. It's not a good chunk of my day. It's a small amount of time. And then the other big one is passive time. I would like to think that I get 8 hours of sleep every night, but that is not accurate. But I do spend some time just resting and relaxing, maybe watching a TV show before bed. So yours probably looks different than mine because we're not the same. But you probably have these 4 categories of time, and yours may be smaller or bigger in different sections. But now let's talk about it in terms of when someone's living with dementia. When dementia enters the picture, or when someone's moved into an assisted living or a memory care, we actually add a 5th category of time, and you'll notice it down at the bottom. It's waiting, wait time. Waiting for someone to tell me the next thing, waiting for someone to open my door, waiting for someone to do, So what generally does a person living with dementia's day look like now when they're placed into someone else's care? You'll notice there's a big chunk that's waiting. And what do you see as no more? What often goes away pretty quickly, especially if there's a younger onset, early diagnosis or a later diagnosis as far as You were working and suddenly you were no longer fit to do what you were supposed to be doing, and therefore you were let go. And often it's really hard. When I go back to my slide, this was almost half of my day. My productive time, my work time, my valuable time, things that made me feel valued as a person. And now it's gone. And it's been replaced with self-care, personal care, and wait time. And oftentimes activities, professionals have been seen as just this tiny little playful piece. And the reality is you do more than that. You do a lot more than that, because with the activities that you provide, could you hit some of these other areas? Do you hit some of these other areas? Absolutely. And yet, if we can't figure out how to come together as a team and provide all 4 categories, the majority of my time is spent waiting or doing self-care. And I'm going to ask everybody on the call, be honest, is your favorite part of the day going to the bathroom? What about taking a shower? Oral care? Yeah, I didn't think so. So we often see this shift happen pretty quickly, and yet it's really hard to feel like, how do you feel the day? I'm only in there for a couple hours. But yet you're providing a bunch of this stuff. How do we make it stick? How do I hit all those gems? How do I use my time wisely? How do I truly connect, especially that now I'm trying to do less. I'm trying to do more with less. I have less time. I have less people. I have less money. How do I do more? Because I now have to fill more people's days. It's a lot of pressure. So I'm going to shift over and we're going to watch a video of Teepa interacting with a lady named Mary, who in our terms is more of an amber state. She has a lot of skill. She still has a lot of skill in her fingers, in her hands. She can do a lot of pieces, but she has to copy someone. She has a hard time getting started on her own. Her language skills are shorter, 4-word sentences, but still able to do a repetitive pattern of back and forth. You say something, I say something. It's called turn taking. And that right side, so everybody take your hands, and you've got a right hand and a left hand. And when you tap your right temporal lobe, which is right up here on your temple, the right temporal lobe in most dementias stays intact almost all the way through this disease. That's why things like music, rhythm, poetry, prayer, and counting, social chit-chat, that back and forth turn taking, and I understand what you mean, even if I don't get your words, because the tone of voice that you use is very telling. You can tell when I'm angry, and you can tell when I'm sad. Because my tone of voice is still there, and my ability to comprehend tone of voice is still there. Even when, tap your left temporal lobe, my language skills are retreating. So what's cool about what we do is that we try to base it in that right temporal lobe. Automatic, autonomic movements, rhythm, music, and not get offended by the forbidden words that are hidden over there. So we're going to watch Teepa interact with Mary, and we're going to do a little noticing. Just notice what you notice about those 4 categories of time: productive, passive, personal self-care, and play. How many does Teepa hit in this short window of time?
I got some lotion. How your hands feeling?
My hands look good.
Let me feel. Let me feel on them.
There it is right
Oh,
there.
I'm thinking maybe some lotion. Here, go ahead and put a little bit
I
on.
don't want no words. I don't put that.
Now I discovered Mary's hands were very dry, and she's going to need some help to
How
put
about
some
give me a
lotion
little
on.
bit? Twist the top off, right up there.
I need to cue her and help her. She can't quite figure out the container.
Give me a little
No,
squirt.
they real little now.
Yeah, they're real little, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Here, let's lay the top down.
So notice right there, if there isn't that one-on-one time to engage and interact, what might happen for Mary's personal self-care time? Might it get extended or might it not happen at all? Because she's having trouble sequencing through this activity. She took the top off. She still has those skills in her fingers. But then as soon as she takes the top off, her brain says, well, this is supposed to go right back on there. And she would put it back on without a little bit of guidance. The next step, the next step, the next step. Sometimes that's all it takes, depending on the gem state and the person and the moment and the task that you're trying to complete.
We'll just lay it down. And now squirt out a little bit. You squirt a little bit?
Now Mary is a lady who's very uncomfortable with things touching her or when she has things moving too
I
quickly.
did get it, didn't I?
So what I do is put the lotion on my hand, apply it to her palm,
Now, try that.
and then put a little bit on.
How's that feel? Does that feel good?
She's then able to take over the activity and finish it.
Yeah, there you go.
Her hands get moisturized, but she's not really that excited about it.
So 1 minute in, and we've seen some good self-care practices that might help encourage her to complete this one task. Is this something that Mary's going to choose to do on her own? Nah, this is not her favorite part of the day. So let's see what she does enjoy doing.
But watch what happens next.
Ooh, Teepa noticed something. Without having an agenda, her agenda was met. We got a little self-care done. Mary did a little self-care on herself, and Teepa started the activity and ended the activity. We're good with that one. Something has interested Mary, though. By noticing what someone else is interested in, you can start to gauge which type of activity might we go to next. Is this going to be a fun, playful activity, or is this going to be something else?
What's over there? You see something over that way? A baby. Oh my. Oh, look at that.
Now it's important for you to know that Mary has been a child care provider her entire
All
life.
right, you want to go up and go see that baby?
Yeah, I'm going home anyway.
Are
so,
you? You can go check out that baby that we got over there?
Let me see you now.
The meaningful part of her day is getting to provide care for this baby.
You gonna pick him up or you gonna let him lay?
You want him to go with you home? You will see if you want.
You want me to get him or you gonna get him?
I can get him
Okay, well go ahead and get him.
and take him on with him.
It's important to note that Mary is so involved, she actually thinks this baby is a live baby, not a baby doll. So when staff are interacting with her or the baby, it's important that they keep that in mind and treat this baby doll as though it were a real baby, because to Mary,
Don't you, Mary?
it is.
You ever walked than to eat, won't you?
Babies get like that, don't they?
Tell her, no, you like that. You don't want that.
Let's see. I have his blanket's over there.
I
Mary,
know.
his blanket's over there. You see it? Oops, you got it? No, it fell.
No, he ain't gonna want it like that.
There you go.
No, I ain't gonna put it on there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure Mary gets an opportunity every day to do this meaningful baby care activity.
You want to go for
I also want to make sure I don't try to do this during an important self-care activity, because as you can see, she's very involved and very focused on the baby. going to be difficult for her to feed herself, dress herself,
You got it?
or complete other tasks if she's worried about the baby instead of doing what I'm asking.
All right, come on, let's go.
All right, so we're noticing something that there's got to be a break. Who has to provide those lines between what the purpose of the activity is? Because just being with the baby, for Mary, is not playful time. That's her productive time. It's where she feels valuable. She's doing what she's good at. She's doing what she's done her whole life. But it's important to note that she can't also squeeze personal care in there. It's also important to know that if there's going to be some other step, some other progression in her day, you're going to want to provide that clear ending point, because when my prefrontal cortex isn't working as well, I may have trouble initiating, starting something, sequencing through the steps accurately, or I may actually have trouble ending it and moving to the next activity. So I might need guidance any point along the way in order to let go of the thing I was doing and start this new journey with you. So let's see what happens when there's a real baby that enters the picture.
Come on and get this, and this. You want one? You want two? Oh, you want three?
In this situation, Mary has a baby in addition to her baby doll. We're monitoring her for safety, but you can see she's taking care of the baby just as carefully as she does the doll.
You know what they do with them? They just put them down in the pack, then put them back in there.
It's important to note, however, that she doesn't really seem to see the difference between the two of them.
Yeah, see? Some of these is your sisters now, some of your brothers.
Although Mary clearly enjoys spending time with the baby, she also enjoys time with the baby doll, and therapeutically, it's just as effective for her.
Can I kiss you? Can I?
Love him, bye. Sweet boy, isn't he? Say bye-bye.
Okay. I'll see you another time.
So with Mary, her day was now filled with productive time, that time comes back and there's less time spent waiting. But it wasn't a one-on-one situation. And many of you have said, oh, we're stressed, we're tight, we don't have the staff, I can't do it. One-on-one is really hard. So providing those opportunities where it can be self-driven, as long as there's something that I know what to do and how to do it, I can get my productive time in. But that may be the time that you want to engage with me, rather than always looking for something fun and playful, because productive time is actually one of the biggest categories that gets dropped immediately when dementia enters the picture. So let's talk a little bit about how do we start changing this picture? How do we get to a place where that's a little more balanced, a little less wait time? So I took a note from Tifa and I said, well, what do I have sitting around within arm's reach? And well, I just moved, so I've got a lot of stuff within arm's reach, but the cool one that I had that I thought, let me see what I can come up with. For someone more in an amber state, potentially, because that's where we really struggle to engage and entertain, because they need a lot of guidance, and yet they can still do a lot of stuff. It isn't always what we think they're going to do with it, so it's always a little bit surprising, but it's fun to play around if we can stay in our playful and productive time. So I had one of these, a pool noodle. And I also had some paper and a marker, and I was going to try something. But I wanted to base it in what I know remains throughout most dementias, even near the end. That right temporal lobe, music, and rhythm. So I actually took the pool noodle and I cut it using a kitchen knife. I guess I forgot to put that on the list. And I wrote on it with a permanent marker letters. And this one I said was W, and A, L, F. I did all the letters. And I put them into a bag, and you could make one for each resident if you wanted, or you could scale up or scale down the size, put it on paper for somebody, have them cut it out. All kinds of ways to create letters on things that are individual letters. And then I thought, ooh, okay, how do I incorporate music and letters? Because spelling is one of those skills that actually might remain longer than being able to find the right word. The brain is a pretty amazing thing. So here was my pool noodle based challenge. So I started to come up with songs that are somehow related to a pool or summer or something like that. And so I started with the first number 1 across. And so you could either, everybody guess a letter? Oh, W, yeah, there's a W and I could fill it in. It's the first letter here. We could go through and you could guess, oh, there's an A. There is an A. It's over here. It's right here, and right here there's an A. Ah, shoot, okay, you still don't know it. Okay, there's an L. Ooh, there's a lot of L's. There's 2 L's in this one right before the last. So that's one way we did it, and that's how I filled out this one back here. It's a crossword. But I'm not expecting you to know the word yet. And because I was trying to keep it in a age-based theme of songs that I knew when I was a teenager, which is where you're going to want to look for songs that really hit home with somebody's right temporal lobe, either spiritual songs, songs that are sung regularly throughout our lives at holidays or things like that, or songs from my teenage years. Those are the ones that kind of stick with you the most. So for me, my teenage years, don't go chasing. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you have no idea. But luckily, someone else in the group might fill it in for us. If we still don't get it, then I'll just sing it. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Okay, we got the word, waterfalls. Shoot, now we have to spell it. Do I have anybody in this group that would be willing to grab a marker and write waterfalls for us? Okay, now everybody help us out. What does it start with? Yeah, W. Okay, what comes next? A, T, E, R. Good. Okay, are we keeping up? So I can actually use different gems, people in different gem states, to do different parts of the activity. I don't have to do it all myself, because when I ask someone to partner with me and become the recorder, who's getting to use their skills? Both of us. And who's getting to keep some skill in handwriting, in spelling, in connecting to their left temporal lobe for words and word finding? The person who's supporting me. And yet I'm there to support them every step along the way and help them sequence and process through. So I have all of these activities and I can fill it in and hey, 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 playmate, come out and play with me and bring your dollies 3. Can we do a I show and you copy? Yeah. 5 little ducks went swimming one day over the hill and far away. So as long as I make it musical and rhythmic, your body and your brain can follow along. And so what part am I actually helping you keep and hold on to for even longer? The rest of your motor skills, the rest of your left temporal lobe that's willing to play. And I'm tapping into it using your right temporal lobe through music. So now I've filled it in a little bit more, and I might choose to just show up with just this one word, missing. depending on the person or the people, the group that I'm with. Because maybe that first one, man, I tried it last week and they did not know that song. I might have to choose a different song. I might have to go look something up. I might have to ask a family member, a friend, I might try a couple songs and see which one sticks. But it gives me some options because all I do is pick one word out of the song and then all they have to do is fill in the blank. So now I'm going to scale it up a little bit for you. I'm going to add some movement. So if you're sitting still, get ready to get involved. Every time you hear the letter T in the song we sing, you're going to raise your right hand. Every time you hear an S, you're going to stomp your foot. I don't care which foot, but you're going to stomp it. So try it out and just see if you can do it. It's much harder than it sounds, all right? Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the... Are you starting to see how you can have a little fun without any cash? Yeah, because all you're wanting to do is start to incorporate the whole body so that self-care doesn't have to just be toileting, mouth care, and what I eat. It could also be exercise built in to a musical activity that's based on words and language and spelling through music. So now let's talk a little bit about those 4 Ps again. With this activity that we just did, from start to finish, which of the 4 Ps, which of the categories of time did we use? Was there anything productive? What if you were the one that I asked to help me write it in? Can you feel how that might make you feel valued and productive? You're actually tracking it. You're actually writing in the letters. You're actually doing a skill that helps us play this game together. And there are no winners or losers, and yet we're all getting something out of it. Can we all feel productive if I was able to come up with the word and make my mouth say the word that I was looking for and it was the right one? Ah, yes, that feels so good. And it's that productive, valuable. Or it could just be playful. It could just be fun to sing and you just like to watch people. You don't like to sing, you just like to listen and watch. You just like to be a part of something fun. You actually just love sitting around and listening to music. It could be restorative, it could be passive. Rather than engaging, it could be more of a passive activity for you to rest and restore. And could it be personal care? Could it be that we're actually working your brain really hard, which often gets forgotten? And it could be that I'm tuning up, for those therapists out there, could be that I'm tuning up those muscle memory components. I've got exercise happening, but if I do singing before a meal, what am I a lot more capable with? All of the muscles in my mouth that help me eat, swallow, chew, move it around, produce some saliva, so that I'm not starting cold when it's time to eat. So, did we hit all 4? Yeah, and is this scalable for different gem states, for people who could have a little bit more skill? They might be able to use their motor memory. You even, if you had the time and the wherewithal, could create, just like you've seen the hallway bingo, could create these for people with some of the letters filled in. So you simply sing the song and you see if people can fill them in. Or you guess letters and you tell people where to place them. Or you give it already filled out and see if they can sing the song with you. So many different options, all related to music, all related to something within reach. So your homework over the next week is to look around, choose something that's just within arm's reach and see how creative you can get. First, find the object. Then see if you can find songs that are related. For example, I've got tissues. Well, I can't think of any songs that are about tissues, but I could probably think of some that are about being sad or about sneezing, meatballs rolling off the plate. You can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be an exact science. This is getting creative and trying to help yourself. People who may or may not be tapped out of ideas, think creatively and use all 4 categories of time about an everyday object. It doesn't require any more cash. So I want to open it up to ideas from you, but I know it's kind of hard in this platform. So I thought what I would do is show you one more piece, one more idea, and then I'll show you another video of Tipa using something. So I just moved, and I have this, which many of you might say, oh, why would you keep that? It's a broken lamp. And now I go, yeah, let me ask you this. Why might I keep this? It's a broken lamp. What could somebody feel very productive if they were able to repair said lamp? Might this be something that somebody would have a skill set in the past life, in a past history, that I could simply support one step at a time, help get them started? So I'm going to share one more video. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I am just going to show you a video of Tipa providing some more productive time for a gentleman who was living with dementia.
It was nice talking to you.
I wouldn't have done it.
Now, Frank is a gentleman who has just been recently admitted. He's worked hard his whole life. He's been an electrical contractor, and he's having a difficult time moving into assisted living and not having a job.
And sitting over there in the room by myself with a newspaper.
Yeah,
Is that too loud, Ben?
I know. That's a hard change.
And then this woman that owns the place over there, I have a job to do for her today. I didn't finish it up yesterday, so I went home by now.
So already you can see, if it's just sitting around and talking, he sounds pretty frustrated. He can't get his jobs done. He can't get where he needs to be. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit to see what Tipa got him to do, and then I'm going to show you the end result.
That I disabled and have asked Frank to help me fix it.
But you don't want to break it,
No, no.
and they're easy to break.
Oh, there you go. You got it. Okay. It's that kind. So do you have to skin the wires for that kind?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I brought this. Can you do that? No?
Nice.
I don't know. I have one of these.
You might can do that.
Okay. Well, I got one.
So does Tipa know the answers, or does she not? Does it matter? What she's doing is helping him go step by step, choosing his tools, creating something, and helping her out. So the biggest thing to start thinking about for productive time is asking for help. Hey, I could really use your help to fill in this chart. Hey, I could really use your help to fix this lamp. Hey, I could really use your help. Because the people that we care for have a lot of skills. We've just got to figure out what they can do with a little bit of support at the right time and in the right place. So I'm just going to scroll down to the end here.
Surprise.
So I don't need to show you the whole video, but I wanted you to see what it can do when you actually get someone to find those 4 categories of time, especially that productive one, because it goes real quick when dementia enters the picture. So I'm going to turn it back over to Charles. Unless there's anything in the chat or the Q&A, I missed a couple of things, so
Yeah,
I wasn't able to read it while I was talking.
No, Amanda, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. You know, one of the things that I've always enjoyed with the positive approach to care is how Tipa, you and the whole team really make the caring for people living with cognitive change actionable, right? How you explain things so well based on where people are, where they need, and so much of your education is really, kind of showing how to. And I was amazed by what you've been able to do just on Zoom today. I think that's pretty cool. And the last thing I want to share is, but it's been kind of this constant thread throughout the day, and it's not really a surprise, but it's so nice to see, is that the one, amidst all of these unknowns with this pandemic and everything, one of the core aspects is how do we continue doing person-first programming, which I know is at the core of your work. I don't know. I have been. There were so many chats that it was difficult for me to track on that. Let's see.
I
the
think
Q&A.
to kind of your question, Charles, and it's something that you're right. Everybody's being asked to provide person-centered care amidst all of the CDC guidelines, but don't touch anybody. But also, you have to touch people to give care. So, just you sort of feel like this fritzing out. The right hand isn't talking to the left hand. The expectations don't make sense for what we can provide. So I guess my challenge to each of you is to really take a good look at the activities you already provide and see if you can incorporate those 4 categories somewhere throughout the day, because it's really an impossible task to fulfill someone's 24/7, and yet we don't have to. They can fulfill some of their own if we give them those places of productivity and value, because that lasts a lot longer. Moments of joy last a lot longer in my life than the waiting time.
Yeah. There's been a few comments about the website. Would you mind sharing a little bit how does one get started with the training and some of the elements that you talked about?
Absolutely. So we actually are providing tons of free stuff right now. TIPA always provides free stuff, but if you go to, let's see, let me share my screen just so it's there. At the bottom here, tipasnow.com. We have lots of free opportunities, but we also have some paid opportunities. We have some CE-worthy opportunities, and we have certification events, which definitely help prepare you for delivering some of this content, but are not required for you to be able to gain some new knowledge and awareness on your own. So we have tons of free videos that you can share out, and then we have some new subscription services and engagement courses coming out in September. So a bunch of good stuff happening for the activities world.
Yeah, would you mind, I know that, I mean, this is one of the elements when I reached out to your organization about this summit. One of the things that I was shared with is that you've actually been very busy working on these new engagement modules. Would you want to, because of the audience today, would you mind sharing a little bit of that so people can be interested in maybe reaching out to you afterwards?
Absolutely. So if you look for our Brain Connections Cafe, that's the one that TIPA's running live every other Monday at 3 o'clock for free. You just have to sign up on our website. We're also on Facebook. So if you look us up on Facebook, you just look for Tipa Snow, and you'll find she comes on every single morning at 8 a.m. to deliver a new interesting topic. She's been going through the different dementias, and she's now hitting on diagnosis and the importance of early diagnosis. And then at 5, we do a live at 5 every day with our team where we deliver more content. And anyhow you want to reach out to us, come to our website and reach out to us, go to Facebook and reach out to us, and we will find the right fit to help support you where you are. So yeah, thanks, cool. Charles.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. It's been a pleasure Thank you. Well, thank you for the preparation, and I know that you were moving recently, so thank you for being on with us today. With that, I want to thank everyone that's joined us today. I'm about to end the recording, and again, the recording will be made available on Monday. Obviously, you feel free to share that with your team and everyone. But anyone in the audience, feel free to also get back to it. So here, the recording is ended.